In this video we will be investigating the Jewish practices of Shabbat and pilgrimage. Shabbat is a weekly festival for Jewish people, beginning at sunset on Friday and ending at sunset on Saturday. For Jewish people, this is the seventh day of the week. Shabbat is a day set aside completely for rest. This follows the example of God resting on the seventh day, and keeping Shabbat is one of the 10 Commandments. Jewish people are thus keeping God's commandments, as well as following God's example by observing Shabbat. It is also an important time for the family, and allows Jewish people to spend one day a week with their relations. There are services in the synagogue as Shabbat begins, on Saturday morning, and as Shabbat ends. Because this is an important time to remember God, no work can be done that may prevent this. Therefore, all preparation for the Shabbat must be done before Shabbat begins. Traditionally, the mother of the household spends Friday cooking food for Shabbat, baking the challah bread that is part of the religious observance before the Shabbat meal on Friday evening. The house is also prepared on Friday, being cleaned, and everyone washes and wears clean, smart clothes for the beginning of Shabbat. The table is set just before sunset, and the Shabbat candles are lit to welcome Shabbat into the house. Shabbat is often thought of as a special visitor. The candles represent the first words of the commandment of Shabbat, and are supposed to bring peace and harmony into the house. A candle could not be lit after the beginning of Shabbat in some traditions, as it is seen as work which is forbidden on Shabbat. Pause the video and look up differences between what is allowed and what is not allowed in Orthodox and Reformed traditions on Shabbat. Friday night begins with a religious focus. The candles are lit around 15 minutes before sunset, traditionally by the mother, who welcomes Shabbat by moving her arms around the candles and covering her eyes to recite a blessing. She also prays for God to bless the family. There is a Shabbat service at the synagogue at this time. The Shabbat family meal begins with a father blessing the children in the hope that they will continue the faith, and reciting Kiddush blessings, sharing red wine. Then all wash their hands as a symbol of purification before taking their place at the table. The man blesses the challah bread and thanks God for the food. The challah bread is cut and dipped in salt before being eaten as a reminder of the sacrifices dipped in salt before being offered at the temple. Then the meal is eaten, and may be accompanied by storytelling. Songs may be sung between courses. The focus of the meal is on enjoying the company of family and friends with whom one is eating. On Saturday morning, Jews attend synagogue, either on foot or by car depending upon the tradition. The Shabbat service consists of prayers, blessings, Torah readings, and a sermon. On leaving, people wish each other Shabbat Shalom, meaning have a peaceful Shabbat. At the end of Shabbat, there is a service at the synagogue. This includes a prayer asking God to bless the community throughout the week. The rabbi performs Havdalah, 4 blessings over a glass of wine, fragrant spices, a Havdalah candle, and lastly again over wine, which is then drunk. After this blessing, the candle is extinguished in the remaining wine. These blessings can also be performed at home. A pilgrimage is a journey made for religious or spiritual reasons. The place of pilgrimage is often a place of special significance. In Judaism, the idea of pilgrimage comes from the Torah. Deuteronomy emphasizes that 3 times a year Jewish people must appear before the Lord your God at the place he will choose, which came to be interpreted as the temple in Jerusalem. Over time this duty changed to become a voluntary act. The temple was destroyed in 70 CE, and many Jews left Israel and settled in Europe and further afield. Therefore pilgrimage became less significant, but many Jewish people still make pilgrimage to Jerusalem, although there are many other sites of Jewish pilgrimage across the Middle East. The site of the temple in Jerusalem is the most important place of pilgrimage for Jewish people. Although it is no longer considered to be a duty to visit, it has been the focus of pilgrimage over the last 50 years. The first Jewish temple was built here in 957 BCE and was destroyed by the Babylonians in 586 BCE. The Ark of the 10 Commandments, which was contained in the Holy of Holies in this first temple, disappeared. The second temple was completed in 515 BCE, and the Holy of Holies remained empty. Although it was attacked and seriously damaged in 54 BCE, it was rebuilt but then destroyed in 70 CE by the Romans. The Dome of the Rock, a mosque, the place of worship for Muslims, now exists on the temple site. The only remaining part of the temple is its western wall, more than 2,000 years old, 20 meters high, and made from large blocks of stone. Jews make a personal sacrifice in time and money to make pilgrimage to the western wall. Many Jews believe that at the end of history, the Messianic age will be announced by the sounding of a ram's horn from the Temple Mount, and Jews will return to Jerusalem to rebuild the temple. The pilgrimage to the western wall is often made at a significant point in one's life, for example when preparing for bar mitzvah. Jewish people leave prayers in the cracks of the western wall, believing this is the closest place they can come to God. Another reason to visit Jerusalem is to visit Yad Vashem, a Holocaust memorial. Yad Vashem means a memorial and a name, based on the verse from Isaiah on your screen. It is also an archive of information about the victims, set up by Israel in 1953. Yad Vashem contains the largest collection of material and documentation of the Holocaust, including written accounts, photographs, and video testimonies of survivors. The Hall of Names seen on your screen remembers each victim as an individual, not just a number. There are several memorial sites within Yad Vashem. Many Jews visit Yad Vashem to remember their family members and other members of the Jewish faith. It is a journey often made for religious reasons, although some would argue the word pilgrimage is not appropriate.